Welcome to the Ageless Runner. If you were to ask me, do I go for a run by distance or time, I would tell you distance, except when I don't. So before we get into talking about distance versus time, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel by clicking the icon down in the corner. I've got a lot of wonderful things to share with you, and you won't know about it unless you click that icon and subscribe. Thank you so much. There's often debate between runners, should I run by distance or should I run by time? And I don't know why there's really a debate, because there's good reasons for doing both. It really depends on your situation, your motivation at the time. So let's get into it. So there's lots of great reasons for using distance. That's my preferred method of doing a run. I'm not 100%, as I'll talk about in a minute, but distance is my main driver. And the reason is because I like to run races. If you want to run a race, whether it be a 5K or a 10K or longer, you need to base your runs on miles, because you need to build up your endurance. You need to make sure you can run 13.1 miles, for example, and so you have to use miles. Now, if you look at any training plan for a race is going to be mile-based or distance-based. So that's a perfect reason for running by distance, and it's my preferred measurement when I go out and run. Now, there are some other reasons for running for distance. One is fitness improvement. Recording and tracking miles is in my mind, is the best measure for recording fitness. If you think about the definition of work, anybody who's an engineer that's watching this, you know the definition of work is moving an object over a distance. That's the amount of work that's done, or effort. So moving your body over a distance is the amount of effort. The more you can move your body over a distance, the more work you're putting in, the more effort, and the better fit you are. So mileage is really the only way to really measure your fitness and the improvements you're making. And since we want to improve fitness, and if that's one of your goals, you're more likely to push yourself if you're running to a distance. You may be able to go a little farther. Gee, I went 3 miles, I'm going to try and do 3.5. You may not do that if you're running by time, but if you're running by a distance, you may be more likely to do that. So you get kind of that psychological benefit. And speaking of psychological, because mileage is such a great measure, it's a little more satisfying for me to run by distance. I feel more accomplished when I run by distance than if I run by time. So that means I'm more likely to meet my objective. If you think about it, when you go out and run a time-based run, what do you do when you're all done? You get your running app out and you look at it and say, oh, I ran 2 miles, or I ran 2.8 miles. And either you're happy with that or you're not. And so why be unhappy? Just run by distance, and you're always happy, hopefully, if you make your distance. So run by distance. So if distance is so wonderful, why would I ever want to run by time? There's a couple of great reasons for doing that. One is recovery. It might be recovery from an injury, or in my case, the reason I run for time is I'm recovering from a long run. I've done a long run, maybe I'm building up to run a race, and I want to do some runs after my long run, but I don't want to exhaust myself, I don't want to overtire myself, so I'll do maybe a 30-minute run. So, and I don't care what pace I run, I don't care how long it takes me, I just go out and run 30 minutes. So recovering from a long run or recovering from an injury is a great time to run by time. Another reason to use time is schedule. It depends on what amount of time you have in the day for running, for activity. Maybe you only have 30 minutes, 45 minutes. By all means, go out and run by time, enjoy it, don't worry about distance, don't worry about pace, just go out and have a good time. And kind of in that vein, it's often great to run by time if you're a beginner. Don't try and run a distance, don't try and run a mile or 2 miles. Go out and run time-based runs, increase your time-based runs until you get some mileage built up where you can run a couple of miles. Then switch over and start running by distance. So I've kind of been separating distance and time, but they're not independent, they're not separate. They're related by a measure we call pace. Pace, of course, is minutes per mile or minutes per kilometer, however you track it. To me, that's a secondary metric. I don't run to a pace, I don't try to hit a pace, but I do monitor it to make sure I'm not overtiring myself, or maybe I'm going too fast. If I'm doing a long run, and in the beginning of the run my pace is too fast, I know I risk not completing my long run because I'm going to get too tired before the end of the run. So it's a secondary metric for me. If you're an older runner like myself, I wouldn't be too focused on pace. You don't want to push your pace because you don't want to risk injury, get overtired. Use pace as a secondary measure. It's great to monitor how you're doing in a run and how you're feeling, how your body is doing. So this whole distance versus time debate is really not a debate, as I said in the beginning. It's really based on motivation. You should absolutely be using both techniques in your runs. Use distance if you're trying to train for a race, or if you're wanting to improve your overall fitness. Use distance. It's the perfect way to do that. But if you're not training for a run, if you're just doing recreational running, your recovery, use time. It's the perfect way to do that. Go out and just go for a run, have fun, and enjoy the situation. Hey, thanks again for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Again, if you'd like to stay up to date on some of the videos I post, some of the informative information I like to share with you, please hit that subscribe icon down in the corner of this video. Thank you so much.